Radio Network.
Well, the Packers are doing everything they can to hang on to a 24-13 lead right now out in L.A. at SoFi Stadium. Welcome in. We are broadcasting live at Smoke in the Water. We are on Okachi Lake. We had a wonderful, wonderful day today. The weather cooperated. A little windy, but a great motorcycle ride this morning, raising money for Fisher House, Wisconsin. Almost $4,000 to be exact, raised today for a Big Unit Foundation at Fisher House, Wisconsin, which is fantastic. But we're out here today, and the crowd, some stuck around, some didn't, which is great because on the motorcycles, once it gets a little dark, it gets a little cool too. But a really good crowd out here today. I think it was 87 motorcycles and almost 160-something people, which was great. It was a great turnout. And then we obviously had more people that showed up and made some donations along the way as well. So a fun day today out here in Lake Country. And for those that want to see what Lake Country looks like, if you're watching on the live stream, I'm sure we'll show you a little bit later on as well. But that is Lake Country, as that's right outside the balcony next to where I'm sitting. So beautiful day, beautiful evening. And if the Packers hold on to win, it'll be a good win. Not a great win by any stretch of the imagination. Some mistakes early on. Obviously, the pick six that Jordan Love threw, another pass where he just throws it up. And he has got to get over that. I get it. You're trying to avoid a sack in the end zone and the safety and such to go along with it. But that play took too long to develop, and that clock in his head's got to go off, and he's got to get rid of that football because that was just an incredibly poor play on his part. But they rebound. Tucker Kraft obviously having a big game today. Josh Jacobs I'll tell you what, Josh Jacobs, his numbers aren't huge by any stretch. Josh Jacobs right now, 17 carries, 60 yards, 3.5 yards per carry. He's got a touchdown on the day as well. But Josh Jacobs, on a third and short early on, I was looking at some of these statistics. It was 2nd and 3, and he ground out 3 yards. I mean, just basically did it. He got hit in the backfield and ground out 3 yards, picked up a first down. Later on in the same drive, it's 2nd and 6, and he ends up grinding it out for a first down. Later on in the second, I think, series that it was, he gets downfield. They used him as almost a fullback in front of Jaden Reed. He gets downfield, and all of a sudden he's a hell of a blocker out in front. And just I like the way the guy plays. Just like the way the guy plays. Then I'm kind of paying attention. Today was the day, as you sit here and start to watch the run defense of the Green Bay Packers get gutted. And I mean gutted. They are averaging, the Rams, by the way, on in the run game per carry, 5.2 yards per carry. 5.2 yards per carry. That's awful. That's absolutely terrible. Now, we just saw the Rams score, and the game is now within 5, depending on the extra point. But 24-19 is the score right now. You got to think that maybe the Rams might consider going for 2 here. But nevertheless, they have brought it to within 5. If they get the 2-point conversion, it's within a field goal. And then maybe the headline that we wrote prior to the end of the game becomes obsolete rather quickly, as we just consider the Packers playing a much, much better second half of football to be a more dominant team. And you would have figured that they would have kind of been able to close this thing out, and they just haven't been able to do it yet. Matthew Stafford thrown over to the right side for Robinson, and that was a quick 1-yard touchdown off of a play fake, and he had the internal portion of the defense biting on the play fake while he then goes outside to Robinson to put it into the end zone for the touchdown. By the way, Matthew Stafford, 25 of 37, 229 yards, a touchdown, and a pick today. Xavier McKinney, how about him? He's like an Arby's commercial, an old Arby's commercial. He's 5 for 5. 5 picks, 5 games. And by the way, the cherry on the top was the fumble recovery that he had today as well. Meanwhile, Jordan Love, after starting off rather poor, has just completely turned it around. After the pick 6, he ended up going, I think it was 6 for 6 or 7 for 7 after that. But he's now 15 for 24, 224 yards, a couple of touchdowns, the 1 pick, and he's got his quarterback rating up over 103.5. The problem was in this last drive, they were not able to convert by any stretch of the imagination. They weren't able to punch it into the end zone. It was a very long clock-eating drive. They just didn't have anything to show for it other than punting the ball away. The Packers did stymie the Rams on the 2-point conversion, And so the contest stands at 24-19, 24-19. If you want to chime in, you can. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, that's a great way to do so. If you want to text us, 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. Let your voice be heard again, 608-321-1670. You can go ahead and give us a shout in many different facets, too, and watch us on the platforms. You can go ahead and find us over on Instagram and on Facebook. Either way, Instagram and Facebook, The Bill Michaels Show. YouTube, great way to watch the program. Go to youtube.com. You can subscribe there, youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show, youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. And please subscribe. It's free. It tells you when we go on the air during the weekday show, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Time. You can always catch us in the huddle, and you can always catch the postgame show right here. I know we're a little bit early today, but all good right now. There's some improvement in the second half of this ball game. The second half of this game looks a lot like the second half of last week's ball game, where offensively they finally started clicking. I don't know what it is with this team coming out somewhat flat with Matt LaFleur at the helm. I don't understand why they come out and they just can't start clicking, and the offense doesn't run, and the motion and the movement seems to be sporadic at times. But again, today they came out, they were a little bit soft, and next thing you know, they were staring down the barrel of a couple of mistakes. Second half, though, they ended up picking it up. So there you go. And hopefully they are able to then close this thing out, as there's only 3 minutes, 30 seconds left in a commercial timeout right now with the Packers on top, 24-19. Some of the other games of the day, you've got games that have just concluded, by the way, that I want to go through. The Cardinals got the win today. Kyler Murray engineered in. Kyler Murray, he can be good when he's good. He just hasn't been able to do it all season long. But the Cardinals get just basically a walk-off win, 24-23. They have knocked off San Francisco. The Cardinals, they get their second win of the season. In the meantime, the Commanders dominated the Cleveland Browns. Now, that's not really that hard to do, let's be honest with you. However, the Commanders did it in fine fashion, and Jaden Daniels continues to just look good. If he's not on his way to the Rookie of the Year, I don't know who is. But Jaden Daniels today, again, a big day. He goes 14 of 25, 238 yards, had the one pick, but had a touchdown today as well. Also carried the ball 11 times for 82 yards. 82 yards today. And just an all-around incredible player. Meanwhile, Deshaun Watson gets into it with his head coach, Kevin Stefanski, over on the sideline for some problems that they had back and forth regarding personnel packages and groupings being sent onto the field. Deshaun Watson just kind of showed up as head coach, 15 of 28, 125 yards, sacked 7 times today, 7. He hangs on to the ball a long time. And they've been talking about it on NFL Today, or NFL Good Morning NFL, Good Morning Football, ESPN. I was watching the other day or this morning on Fox. He hangs on to the ball way too long. He did have the touchdown, no picks today, but just not a good performance at all by Deshaun Watson. Again, you got the Dolphins came back. They got themselves a win, 15-10. They knocked off the Patriots a little bit earlier. What a game between the Jaguars and the Colts. We had a lot of walk-off field goals today. The Jaguars did it in fine fashion. They ended up putting up 17 points in the fourth quarter of this one, after the Colts had put up 24 points in the fourth quarter of that one. 37-34, 41 points put up in the fourth quarter of that ball game. 37-34, the Jaguars get a walk-off win. The Texans get a walk-off win over the Bills. How about that? The Texans go still only one loss on the season, 4-1 on the season. The Bills go to 3-2, 23-20 as they get the win. And then a walk-off field goal as well with the Ravens and the Bengals. And Cincinnati had a chance to win that game in overtime, and their kicker missed the kick, but basically because the holder dropped the ball, just couldn't hang on to the football. So they ended up losing the game, and Cincinnati now only one win on the season. Joe Burrow basically said, we're not a championship team, and nowhere near it right now. 41-38. Burrow having one of his better years or better games of the season so far, though, without a doubt. But man, it was all for naught in that contest. Joe Burrow, 30 of 39, 5 touchdowns, 392 yards. He was sacked 3 times, threw the 1 pick, but he had a 70-yard touchdown bomb as well, a 137 quarterback rating, and they still lost. 5 touchdowns, almost 400 yards, and they still lost. Lamar Jackson, 26 of 42, 348, 4 touchdowns, no picks, a quarterback rating of 119 in that contest. I mean, just an amazing game. Jamar Chase, 10 catches, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day. T. Higgins, 2 touchdowns on the day. But over on the Baltimore side, Zay Flowers, 7 catches. He did not dent the end zone, but had 111 yards on the day. Bateman did. He had 4 catches for 58 yards, and so did Kohler today as well. And likely got into the end zone a couple of times also. So big day today for Lamar Jackson, but bigger day today for the Baltimore Ravens as they get a win. They go to 3-2 on the season. Cincinnati, they are mired at 1-4. 1-4. Then you got the Bears. Bears got a win, a dominating win. I was a little surprised. I thought with Andy Dalton under center that they would have been a little bit better off, but the Panthers are the same old Panthers. They go into Chicago and get trounced 36-10. 20 points in the second quarter by the Bears to put them up 27-7 at halftime. Pretty much did them in, and that was all she wrote. How about the uncharacteristic day for one Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers today was bad, for lack of a better term. 29 of 54, 244 yards. He was sacked 3 times, pressured about 8 more. Had 2 touchdowns, but he threw not 1, not 2, but 3 picks, one of them being a pick 6 and a quarterback rating of 54.9. Sam Darnold, not much better. He ended up getting a little nicked up in this game, 14 of 31, 179 yards, sacked 4 times, and had the 1 pick. No touchdowns, by the way, with a 50.3 quarterback rating. But all in all, the Vikings in that defense, they walk away with a victory, 23-17, the final, and that was over there in London. So that's kind of the way the day shapes up. You've still got games going on. Broncos 34-18 right now, just handing it to the Raiders. Just handing it to the Raiders, which is a little surprising. The Raiders talk about getting rid of Devontae Adams, talk about guys taking plays off, and Antonio Pierce trying to kind of regroup and wrap his arms around that locker room. It just wasn't to be today, and not a good one today for the Raiders on the road in Mile High. Then you've got the Giants. How about the Giants going East Coast to West Coast? A lot of travel miles. They are leading right now with 1:30 to go, 23-20 over the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks came into this thing at 3-1. Giants are 1-3. If the Giants hold on, they'll go to 2-3, and you got the Seahawks going to 3-2. Meantime, if the Packers get themselves the win, they get above 500 for the first time this season. They will go to 3-2 right now. 24-19 the score in this one, and the Packers just looking to hang on and trying to end this thing relatively quick. So there you have it. You got the run game has been prolific today for the Packers. They've used Josh Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson, Jaden Reed, as a matter of fact, a couple of times. They've ran the ball 27 times on the day for well over 100 yards. But on this 3rd and 10 play, they're trying to get downfield, and Jordan Love just tossed incomplete, which means the Packers most likely going to have to give the ball back after Dontavian Wicks just not able to come down with it. So that's kind of where we stand as time continues to tick with just over 3 minutes to go in the contest between the Packers and the Rams. Again, you want to get a hold of us, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. I got all kinds of comments to get to today, all kinds of comments. Over on the live stream, I've got text messages to get to. If you want to give us a call, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. We are live. We are in Lake Country, beautiful Lake Country. Look at that as the sun starts to set on Okauchee Lake out there. Just a wonderful, wonderful scene and a beautiful, beautiful place here at Smoke on the Water. We're going to go ahead, step aside, take a quick break. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Green and Gold Postgame Show, and we should have some results for you relatively soon. Stay right where you're at. We'll be back right after this.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. The Packers are trying to hold on. It's the Green and Gold postgame show. Packers 24-19 over the Rams right now. A minute 57. We're at the 2-minute warning to go in this contest, and the Rams are driving, trying to salvage a win. I know we say the Packers beat the Rams in the headline. You got to write a headline. So the headline was written when we went on the air. It is what it is. If it turns out to be erroneous, well, we'll talk about it. So don't get bent over a headline. More so about the play on the field. What has been bothersome throughout this contest and really throughout the season is the fact that, I kept saying, hey, give it 3-4 weeks. Let's see what happens. Well, I'll tell you this. The defensive front for the Green Bay Packers, they can't stop the run. They just can't. And you're not even talking about, like, the top run game in the league. Right now, Williams is 21 carries for 99 yards. He's averaging 4.7 yards per carry. Corum, 5 carries, 25 yards, 5 yards per carry. Atwell also had the 1 carry for 7 yards, and that's a 7-yard per average carry. They're averaging right now at just over 5 yards a carry on the ground. The Rams are. The Packers just can't stop them. The Rams' offensive front is getting penetration downfield by at least 2 to 3 yards. The running backs that the Packers do hit, they catch them in free fall coming towards them. So it's always a fall forward for an extra yard or two, even on the most basic of plays. We all have talked about Quay Walker. I specifically watched Quay Walker today, and he's running around and giving effort, but he's flailing. He's, getting locked up on linemen. He's just sticking arms out. He was juked out of his shoes a couple of times. I mean, he has regressed quite a bit. And it's like, man, how either he's being utilized incredibly wrong, or he just, for whatever reason, thought he'd arrived and has taken time off. I mean, still in coverage, he's quick enough to get downfield. He is your leading tackler. He is a guy that's getting plays downfield. He's behind the defensive front that's getting pushed a couple of yards downfield, but he's not explosive. He doesn't make big, run stuffing plays in the hole. He just doesn't. And so I'm, maybe things get better, but I just don't see it. I see effort, but it's the old adage of looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. I see him playing hard, but it's like there's a lot of motion and movement for not a lot of result. And the Rams just picked up another one on the ground, another first down on the ground as they continue to move the football now into Packers territory with under a minute 40 and counting in this contest. So the Packers need to regroup and try to figure something out defensively. We talked about this week, as a matter of fact. The Packers, as a team, when was the last time you could just say, go win a game, the Packers defensively? You just got now against, Will Levis, they got after it. But he was statuesque. Their offensive line wasn't great. I'm not going to knock the Packers because they did what they needed to do. They put the rush on the passer. They got after him. They sacked him 8 times. It's what you're supposed to do. But I just want to see this team close a game out. Turn it over to the defense, and the defense just goes and kicks ass. And I can't remember the last time they've done that. Todd says LaFleur is an idiot. Why is LaFleur an idiot? I thought the second half play calling was fantastic. I thought there was a few play calls in this contest that were good. It just they were executed incredibly poorly. But I don't know why you'd say he was an idiot. I thought Matt LaFleur did a decent job. I just don't understand how the team comes out. I don't want to say flat, but I don't understand how they just offensively don't look good early on. They did get the score, don't get me wrong. I mean, the Packers got on the board. It's not like they didn't get on the board first. I mean, they got the Josh Jacobs 2-yard run, his first touchdown as a Packer, goes into the end zone after a good drive, 9 plays, 96 yards in 5 minutes and 5 seconds. That's a hell of a start to the game. You're up 7-0, but it was a quick turnaround, and all of a sudden you found yourself down 13-7 before the Packers finally scored the field goal when Narveson split the uprights to make it 13-10 in the second as time was winding down. I think in the second quarter of this game, there was a lot of herky-jerkiness to the offense. Some of it didn't look good. Some of it, not a lot of motion and movement like we'd seen, and I know that could play into part because you lost, obviously, Romeo Doubs and that whole situation, and then you lost Christian Watson. He's not going to be back for a couple of weeks, you would figure. So I get it. You're depleted a little bit in the wide receiver department. But, man, it just didn't look right, for lack of a better term. It just didn't. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to give us a shout, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Would love your reaction to this game. I know everybody's biting their nails right now. Packers up 24-19. Time winding down. Packers trying to hang on to themselves a win. And if they can get it, fantastic. A minute, something like that to go. I can't really see the exact time. But and now you've got the Rams driving. And the Rams have been able to do it pretty consistently, picking up first downs with the run because the Packers can't stop the run to save their life. And they're dinking and dunking their way down the field. They're inside field goal range, but it's not going to do them any good because they're down 5. They've got to score a touchdown to make this thing happen. And there you go. The Packers defensively were able to kind of come up big and sack Matthew Stafford. Quickly a timeout called, and then everybody's going to try to regroup and do it again. Colby Wooden getting to Matthew Stafford on that one. 877-867-1670. Find us. Let's go to Thomas listening to us in La Crosse. Thomas, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Hey, Bill. I just have some takeaways I watching. First off, like you were just mentioning, defense does need to win us more games, right? Because I feel like sometimes, especially in these past couple of weeks, it's been offense, sometimes it's been special teams, sometimes it's been coaching, but you're absolutely right. Like, when's the last time, like, the defense actually was able to do something really, like, outstanding and help propel us to a win?
Right.
A couple other notes. The defense, not only with that, but with the penalties, too. Oh, boy, were there a lot of penalties. And the defense kind of let Kyron Williams, like, run all over us.
Right.
I'm definitely, I would say I'm seeing improvement from that Packers defense under Jeff Hafley, but like, just nonetheless, it needs to improve. Next week.
I like the aggressiveness that
sure.
I appreciate the phone call, Thomas. I like the aggressiveness that they show at times, and it's they play now. There you go. The Packers closing one out. How about that? Packers closing one out. So there you go. Packers are going to end up surviving in this game. On it was 4th and 5, and it went to Parkinson. Cooper ends up making the play. And the Packers get themselves the win. Now you just go to victory formation. That's going to be all she wrote. So the Packers defensively, there you go. They closed one out. They did it while bend but not break, but they closed one out. That was a hell of a play, too. Who was that? I didn't even see who that was. But the Packers, 24-19, going to be the final. You're going to have a couple of knees, and then that's going to be all she wrote for Matt LaFleur and company, and they get themselves a win. They escape L.A. Now they come back home. They have to take on the Arizona Cardinals at Lambeau Field. That's a noon kickoff next week, by the way, noon kickoff at Lambeau. So let's do this, just because we want to do this at the bottom of the hour. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll bring in everybody that's joining us via the network now, and everybody that's now going to start tuning in now that this game is pretty much complete, short of another knee or two, and then that thing will be all done. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. It is the Green and Gold Postgame Show. We are broadcasting live at Smoke on the Water in Okauchee, beautiful Okauchee Lake. And today, a wonderful ride, a lot of money raised, almost $4,000 for Fisher House, Wisconsin, for veterans, military members, and their families. And now on top of it, a Green Bay Packers win. Stay tuned. We got more coming up right after this.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes.
Get home safe.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes.
Looking for me? We deliver. Yes. What's up? Delivery. Oh my God. What we do? Brakes over, driver. Come on, man.
Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Packers get a 24-19 win. And they get to come home. They face Arizona next week. And I guess the best part about it is that, again, not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, yet they were still able to pull it out. You can look at some of the, again, a dumb pass by Jordan Love that ended up costing them points. And it seemed like Matt LaFleur he was interviewed by Tracy Wolfson as he was running into the locker room, did not seem happy and very, very distinctly said, cannot do that there. Can't do it. That's a mistake. Can't do it. So the learning mistakes, you know what? You do it once or twice, okay, you're learning from it. This is like the fourth time now that Jordan Love has just tossed it up and tossed it up into coverage, tossed it up just to toss it up. And he can't keep doing it. We saw it against the Vikings. We saw it earlier this season, obviously in Brazil. And we saw it to end the season last year against San Francisco. We saw it last year against Atlanta. You can't just keep tossing the ball up to toss the ball up just because you're trying to make some kind of a play. One of the best things is to just live to fight another day. That was always, Mike McCarthy's mantra when he was the head coach of this team and kind of really drilled that. That was one of the good things about Aaron Rodgers, even though he had 3 picks today, was that he always lived to fight another day. He waited, would throw it away. So Jordan Love just not playing some smart football right now. And the talent is there. I mean, you saw the talent specifically in the second half of that game, but at times he just doesn't use his head. So a lot to get to. 877-867-1670. You want to chime in, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. We got people lined up on the phones. Let's go to our buddy first out of the chute, Gerard. Gerard, what's going on, man?
Hey, Bill. Listen, we have to face reality, right? The Rams are playing with 4 backup offensive linemen, 2 receivers that were probably 2 of the top receivers in football weren't there. Okay? So we have to look at things the way they are. Look, there's no pass rush, Bill. There's no pass rush with 4 men. Okay? He took guys that were playing in a 3-4 and tried to put them in a 4-man pass rush, and they're not doing it. Van Ness is not getting home.
Nope.
Preston Smith, these guys are not. I mean, I see what they're doing to Gary, but still, he's not getting home.
Nope.
And it seems that when the Rams were blitzing, they'd get home. But when we blitz, we hardly ever get home. And I just want to give a shout-out to Cooper and Evan Williams. Evan Williams had 4 big breakups. Look, this guy's a heat-seeking missile. He can play. He plays hard. He should be on the field all the time, and so should Cooper. And I don't know why they're dropping Cooper back in the pass coverage, and they're keeping Walker up by the line of scrimmage. I still can't figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you this, Bill. Anybody that's saying, and Wicks is starting to make Lazard look like Fred Biletnikoff. I mean, give me a break with him dropping all these balls. But anyway, I just want to say this too. 4-man pass rush has been in the NFL for 100 years. This is not a learning process, okay? You got veterans all up there across the line. All right, so let's stop that nonsense with the with people that are saying that it's a learning process. They just don't have the talent to get home, or I don't know what they're doing. The Rams did keep 6 guys in the block 4 times, but he wasn't adjusting to that. Okay?
Right. And we saw that happen last week we saw that happen last week against the Vikings too. He was rushing 4, they'd keep 6. He'd rush 5, they'd bring 7. Same exact thing.
Yeah, and he's not making any adjustments, this guy. Sometimes I think with all due respect to him, I think he's back at Boston College. I don't mean that it's an insult to him, but what he's doing is he's showing his cards all the time. And look, I'm going to tell you, Bill, you said it before. When that guy said to you that LaFleur had a bad game coaching, and you said, well, you didn't think he did. But right after that, you said they came out flat.
Yeah.
And this is coaching, Bill. This is coaching.
Well,
and I'm going to tell you, Bill, in my opinion, and I think in the next couple of weeks, there's going to be some big issues on this team. And I'm going to tell you, it's coming up. There are issues on this team. There are.
Coming out flat, let me ask you this, though. Coming out flat, they went on the 9-play, 96-yard drive and scored first. So, but offensively, it still didn't look fluid. You know what I mean?
Smooth. Right. No, I agree. And that's the biggest problem. If you got 2 guys who he's the head coach, he's an offensive guy. Then you got Stefanovic. He's the offensive coordinator. I mean, what's going on here? Your offense should have dominated this game. You should have put 38, 40 points up on the Rams today, but you didn't. It seems that a lot of times they're scared to make mistakes, the whole bit and everything else. But I'm telling you, Bill, there's some issues on this team, and they're not playing up to their potential. They're not. Look, there's 2 things that are going on. Either these players aren't any good on their defensive line, or something, or the scheme isn't right for these type of players. You can't take Preston Smith. Remember what Ted Thompson used to do? Take a square peg and try to put it in a round hole.
Yep.
You can't take a guy who's in his 30s, 240 pounds, and make him all of a sudden into an outside pass rusher going with his hand in the dirt. When he played linebacker his whole career. Certain guys you can't do this with. So there's something going on his team, and I don't want to hear work in progress. This is 8 games. You got 3 exhibition games. You got all these games already. They should know the talent. They should know what these guys are capable of doing already. And this is a problem with this team. They should have slammed this team. And the Cardinals just beat the 49ers.
Right.
So there ain't going to be no pushover or anything.
Right. No,
so look.
Appreciate it, Drew. Let me do this. I got to run here real quick. Let me answer some of the questions that you brought up and some of the things. You got legitimate points. Are there some problems here? I think so. Yes. The question then becomes, they're sitting at 3-2 with the opportunity actually to be better. So is it a glass is half full or a glass is half empty team right now? They haven't looked good on offense. They haven't hit their stride yet. They haven't obviously looked good on defense. When you give up that kind of yardage and that kind of gain per play rushing the ball, that's pathetic. You're going to get dump trucked all day by teams that can actually run the football so much better than the Rams can, especially with a better, offensive front. And so and when I say a work in progress, it's because guys like Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary, they were taught one way in the 3-4, and now they're going to a different muscle memory, if you will, in the 4-3. And then the way they're being taught, because they're stunting and they're moving guys around. The problem when you talk about the blitz, I want to go back to that because you had a really good point about the blitz. They don't get home. One of the reasons I believe they don't get home, they show it. They'll leak guys up to the line of scrimmage, and you can see they're coming. There's no question as to whether, you go back to what Flores brought last week, what you saw today against the Jets, where they're bringing 7, 8 guys to the line of scrimmage. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know where the blitz is coming from. That's the reason they had so much pressure on Aaron Rodgers today. You don't know where it's coming from. And then all of a sudden the snap of the ball, and you got two guys dropping back into coverage, two other guys coming off of an overloaded edge, and they're getting home. The Packers don't do that. They'll bring a linebacker, they'll bring a safety, and they're already like kind of lurching at the line of scrimmage. You know they're coming. Just by the cadence, you can see them coming, and they don't disguise it. They don't drop back into coverage. Very rarely does that happen. And I think that's part of the reason why, because any quarterback worth his weight would say, okay, look, I'm going to have, instead of a full 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds, I got to get rid of the ball in 2 seconds. I got to hit a hot read immediately, or I got to hit my secondary guy immediately via the mismatch, because here they come. So when you dictate it and you show it, it gives a quarterback, and with any kind of salt at all, the ability to go ahead and make that adjustment in their mind to say, this is where I'm going to go with the football. And that way the pass rush doesn't get to me. And even there was a couple of times today, even when they brought it, they never got home. Matthew Stafford had 4, 5, 6 seconds in the pocket a couple of times. I'm like, what are these guys doing? What are they doing? Let's go to Calvin, listening to us in Little Chute. Calvin, how you doing today?
I'm a big Packer fan, and I like your show, Bill Michael.
Thank you very much, Calvin. Where are you from? Up in Little Chute, you said?
Yeah.
All right. The Packers won today. You got to be happy about that, right?
Yeah.
All right. You the man, buddy.
Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go. There you go. That's our little man right there. Calvin up there in Little Chute. Fired up. That's always good. That's a heartwarming moment, right? Always is. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Harley says the lack of pass rush has been a problem all year. Well, they did get 8 sacks in the game against Will Levis, so it's not all year, but again, they're doing it against a lackluster offensive line and a lackluster quarterback who's relatively statuesque. But it hasn't been the whole time. I'm bringing a little reality here, but I agree with you. By the way, I've got a lot of attaboy Calvins over there on the live stream. So good for you, man. Good for you, bud. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, you can. If you want to text us, you can do so as well. A lot of text coming in out of the 920. Let's see here. I'm trying to get caught up on some of these. Some of these are from a previous conversation, it looks like. This was from Anthony. Anthony says, hey, guys. One of the big problems I have is Hafley doesn't have the personnel to be able to run actually what he wants to run. Do you agree? I don't know if it's necessarily the talent to run what he wants to run. I just don't know if they have the talent. I thought the defensive front would be a lot better. Devontae Wyatt being down certainly hurts. I saw TJ Slayton a couple of times get blown off the ball. There was a couple of times he stymied his man at the line of scrimmage. Same thing with Kenny Clark today. Kenny Clark actually was mobile today. Kenny Clark, a couple of times, even though the ball went to the opposite side of the field, Kenny Clark was a part of the tackle, or at least a part of bringing down the ball carrier, whether it was getting in the way to where somebody else can kind of come up and clean up, or the fact that he actually had a couple of tackles downfield today. So not a bad way to go for Kenny Clark. But I agree with you. Look, there's not a lot up front. They don't have a tenacious. They don't have a Chris Jones. They don't have that kind of guy. You know, they don't have that level of player. Kenny Clark is now more into the inside than he is to the outside. They don't have that. Out of the 920, says, why does Quay Walker remind me of Clay Matthew at the end of his time in Green Bay? He's always standing around where the tackle is made, but never really in on the tackle. He made one play today behind the line of scrimmage. When was the last time he made a game-changing play besides dumb penalties that have hurt us? It's been a while. Put it that way. It's been a while. I would agree with that. Quay Walker has been – you keep waiting for him to break out, and you're just not getting it. You're just not getting it. And I would agree with you. 877-867-1670. As a matter of fact, the final statistics today. Let's see here. Quay Walker, second on the team in tackles. Williams, by the way, led the team in tackles today. Had 10 tackles, 6 assists, 4 solos. Quay Walker, 6 solos, 9 assists today. Had the 1 tackle for loss, got it in the backfield. But Williams also, in addition to the 10 tackles, he had 2 passes defended today as well. 2 of them. Xavier McKinney, a couple of them himself. But when you think about quarterback hurries, the Packers today were credited, and I only counted 8. So somebody might have been a little generous. They were credited with 10 quarterback hurries today. 10 quarterback hurries and 3 sacks. And 3 total sacks today. It didn't even feel like 3 sacks today, did it? Not at all. And it certainly didn't feel like 10 quarterback hurries. That's for damn sure. But what I counted was 8. Now, maybe I missed one, or 2, obviously. But just it didn't seem like that. One of the other side notes to this game, as we had mentioned, Xavier McKinney, I mentioned his name. 5 for 5 now on picks in games with the Green Bay Packers. Also today, just to add, kind of the good measure, had the scoop today and the fumble recovery. So not a bad way to go. Not a bad way to go for getting things started in your Packers career. All right, let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break. We are broadcasting live out here at Smoke on the Water in Okauchee Lake out here in Lake Country. Still the upstairs wide open if you want to come in and get yourself some dinner, watch the Sunday night game tonight. You've got the Cowboys and the Steelers, a good one going to take place in Pittsburgh tonight. That's going to be going on. This portion of the program brought to you by Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Whether it's the gaming or all the bars that they have, if you want to get a cocktail, the hotel, you can stay and play. They've got music, both live and DJ. They've got restaurants. And I mentioned the sports book and how big and beautiful it is? It's amazing. That's our friends at Potawatomi. Go to paysbig.com. That's paysbig.com.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
My head turns all around. As gentle as a butterfly, she moves without a sound.
24-19, the final. The Green Bay Packers, they knock off the LA Rams out at SoFi Stadium. Now the Packers come back home to the friendly confines that is Lambeau Field, and they have a noon kickoff next week against Arizona, who just beat San Francisco. Now, San Francisco, as we all know, banged up as well. Arizona, Kyler Murray, he can play well at times, and if he's got his head out of his rear end, he's a decent quarterback. If he doesn't, then he can be as detrimental gets. So we'll see which version shows up next week, and hopefully the Packers defense would have something to say about that. But the Packers now above 500. They are sitting at 3-2. Get a win next week, and the season has changed dramatically from that first night in Brazil, and things are looking up very, very differently. So not a bad win today. Not a bad win. Let's see here. This is from Max. Max says, how much did we pay Jordan Love again to be this stupid this often? The dumb decisions are beginning to mount and are becoming more and more noticeable. And that's not something that we were accustomed to with Aaron Rodgers. Now, I bet you New York Jets fans would maybe disagree today, considering Rodgers threw 3 picks in the game against the Vikings earlier this morning. But, it's the same mistake. It's throwing it. Now, he was trying to make a play and just trying to get it back to the line of scrimmage and get it away from the receiver. So it wasn't necessarily throwing into triple coverage like we've seen before. But you can't make dumb plays. It's the dumb. I appreciate the fact that he's being competitive. I appreciate the fact that he's trying to be that gamer. He's trying to get it out of the end zone and trying to throw the ball away. And I appreciate all of that. But you can't do stupid things. Not in today's day and age. I know people want to bring up Brett Favre and the gunslinger and the but that's not today. It's if you end up with double-digit picks in a season, that's a down year. That's a bad year. That's unacceptable. So your goal is between 27 and 35 touchdowns and maybe 8 to 9 picks total for a season. If you can go to 40 plus picks or 40 plus touchdowns, that's a hell of a year if you keep it to single digit picks. But you can't be throwing the ball away, and you're seeing that now more consistently. And Jordan Love's got to rein himself in. The first play of the game today, I thought it was interesting because he ended up going downfield. And I said right away even before the ball left his hand, I said, look, he's thrown off his back foot. All that talk this week in practice about the fundamentals and getting back to getting his feet underneath him and getting it back to where he's got a good base. The very first play of this game, kind of going back, throwing off the back foot, lofting one down, bad pass. And you're lucky that wasn't, it didn't fall, into the hands of a Rams cornerback. Demetrius says Stokes, Clark, and McDuffie all trending in the wrong direction. Kenny Clark, I thought he played better today. Stokes, yes. McDuffie, understand that, but I don't necessarily go along with Clark. But Stokes is not what he was when he had such a successful rookie season after Jair Alexander went down and he became the main cover guy. And he was really good. He was a tremendous cover corner. And obviously the ankle injuries and the hamstring issue from last year have hindered him. Now, you talk about somebody that needs to come back and it's going to take a little time. Maybe it is Stokes. Maybe a couple more games and he begins to return to some type of form. But I'm not going to hold my breath on that. That's for sure. Thomas says, how about the kicker? Or no, excuse me. That's David. He said, our kicker is back. He didn't miss one today. And he hit one from 40, 46? When the 40 to 49 yard bugaboo has been there. By the way, I went through that today. When you look from 40 to 49 with the kick today, he is now 4 of 7 from 40 to 49. 30 to 39, he is 2 of 3. Everything else, he's been pretty solid. Now, beyond 50, I don't really worry about that too much. If you can hit it, you can hit it great. But it was good to see him. And on PATs, too. Right down the middle. No question about it. Looked confident today. That's the guy that we had talked about. That's the guy that we saw. That's the guy that we kind of had that confidence in a couple of weeks ago. So hopefully, maybe got a little bit of the bugaboo out of his system. So we'll wait and see. But Narveson today, perfect. We don't have to talk about Narveson today. We don't have to. That's the best part about today's postgame show. We don't have to talk about the kicker. That's for sure. 877-867-1670. We got another hour yet to go. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to hear from Matt LaFleur. Also, we're going to hear from Jordan Love. Both of those comments are probably going to be at least alluding to or referencing the really dumb pick six that Jordan Love threw. And then in addition to that, also coming up at the end of the program today, in about 45 minutes from now, we're going to hear from our guy, Mike Clemens, is going to join us as well. And we'll talk about everything that's going on inside that Packers locker room, including, we have not even alluded to the Romeo Doubs situation yet, where he doesn't show up he walks out of practice on Thursday, doesn't show up on Friday. They have to send staff over to his house, basically to reprimand him. He has washed his Twitter account or his social media accounts of anything Packers. He's clearly mad at something. And there's two ways this is going to go. And we'll talk about that after the top of the hour. There's two things to look for. One of two ways that this is going to go. We'll tell you what it is when we come back. Don't go anywhere. 1 hour down, 1 hour yet to go. The Green Bay Packers, they get a win. They ended up knocking off the LA Rams to go to 3-2 on the season, 24-19. Stay tuned. We got another hour of the Green and Gold postgame show coming up live out here at Smoke on the Water in Okauchee Lake. We'll be back right after this.
The kick is up and wide left.
Why don't they customize the goalposts?
Gina Della from Pella? How'd you get into the booth?
No, listen. If they made our goalposts just a little wider, and why just yellow? It's Green Bay. Add some green stripes.
Sure, Gina. Should they also remove the G at midfield and paint a Pella crest?
Okay, Wayne, I get it. You can't customize a football game to go the way you want, but Pella can customize your home the way you want. From durable materials and fold-away hardware to custom colors and ease of maintenance, backed by quality craftsmanship, energy efficiency, and warranties that will last for years.
And this has got to be the Pella Dagger. Right now, get 0% interest for up to 36 months. Visit PellaWI.com.
Hey, I've got a popcorn and soda.
Right here.
$22.50, please.
Too bad we can't customize concession prices.
That's it. You got this, partner? I'm out of here.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 10/31/2024.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Rural Mutual is the #1 farm insurer in Wisconsin for a good reason. As a company founded by farmers, they understand the ag industry and its challenges. Local agents offer farm families the best advice and personalized coverage. Visit ruralmutual.com to find an agent near you.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
It's bird bashing season when you swoop into Potawatomi. Thursdays, you could win up to a wicked 50 grand cash in the Bird Bash Game Show. Just play with your rewards card all October for entries. All Bird Bash entries go towards a December 20th giveaway with a monstrous 300 grand in prizes. Bird Bash makes its bewitching return. Only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Learn more at paysbig.com/birdbash. Must be 21 years old to play. 158, go! 318, 399, touch!
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome back in. The Green Bay Packers, they get a win. They knock off the Rams 24-19. The final wasn't pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but you'll take it. You go to 3-2 on the season. The Packers now a game over 500, staring down the barrel of the Arizona Cardinals, who earlier today also got themselves a win, and they ended up putting up 11 in the fourth quarter of that contest out at Levi Stadium to knock off the San Francisco 49ers 24-23 in that contest. And Arizona, they're like an enigma. You just don't know what to expect out of the Arizona Cardinals. Today out of Kyler Murray, he ends up going 19 of 30, 195 yards, had a touchdown, had a pick as well. Brock Purdy, 19 of 35, 244 yards. But today he tossed not one but two picks. He's usually been pretty good with the football. But today, two costly errors in that one. He was sacked a couple of times as well. Mason ended up carrying the ball 14 carries for 89 yards. Meanwhile, James Conner, 19 carries, 86 yards. But Kyler Murray did it on the ground as well, also running it in. He had a 50-yard, I think it was a 50-yard touchdown scamper today, 7 carries for 83 yards. But one of those, I think, was the 50-yard touchdown play that he had. And so they come rolling into Lambeau Field next week to take on the Green Bay Packers. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Our buddy Monona Steve said, I'm just so done with Quay Walker at this point. This one is from Art. Art says, does Quay Walker actually try to look just busy? I know people at work that are like that. They're always huffing and puffing and looking as if they're busy, like George Costanza sitting in a booth grunting and growling about something, but really not doing anything. That's what Quay Walker reminds me of. Damn, that's some criticism right there. I don't care who you are. But you know what? I can agree with you. And I know that it's heavy criticism, but I can agree with you. There are times today when you specifically watched Quay Walker, you saw him running and moving and flailing arms, but it was like a lot of energy for nothing. Really didn't go anywhere. Got tied up numerous times with big offensive linemen. Man, when he gets locked up on a big lineman, oh my God, it's over. It's over. I'm really surprised Quay Walker has not been, because he stands so upright. He doesn't have this lower center of gravity. He stands upright quite a bit. I'm really surprised he has not made it to the pancake segment with Jeff Saturday on Get Up on ESPN. At some point, he probably will, because he just gets locked up and can't go anywhere. He's got some drive in his legs and such, but it just always, chin's always in the air and shirt's always being tugged. He's being driven back and his arms are flailing and he's sticking an arm out like he's trying to make a tackle. And I give him credit for the A for effort, but just the results just simply aren't there. If you want to text us, you can. 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free. Mitchell says Hafley has to make a change regarding Stokes. Opposing teams are getting positive yards and touchdowns on him. He can't stop anybody, as well as McDuffie. He should be benched as well and replaced by Edrin Cooper. Edrin Cooper needs to find more time on the field. I couldn't agree more with you. Where I'm having a big issue, and let me back up for a second. Because the Stokes criticism, while for the most part it's warranted, here's the other thing that I have a problem with. When most guys in the National Football League, most receivers, you can stick with them for about 3.5, 4.5 seconds, unless it's just a straight go pattern and he's just outran you. What you're giving up front for the Green Bay Packers when you're not getting pressure on a quarterback is you're giving them an extra second or two to get open. So as much as you want to blame Stokes, for those of you that listen to the program, you know I'm all about the trenches. You know I'm about winning up front. And when you are getting your ass kicked downfield consistently and trying to stop the run, and you can't get any pressure or stymie at the line of scrimmage and nobody's shooting a gap, that's as much as you want to blame the secondary, blame the defensive front, because the offensive line is having their way with them more often than not. Like I said, they had 10 pressures today, 3 sacks and 10 pressures. I didn't count 10 pressures. I mean, somebody must have been a little generous in the scoring department, but 10 pressures, it just didn't look like it to me. I mean, and let's be honest, Matthew Stafford, he is not a mobile quarterback. You're not facing Lamar Jackson. You're not facing Jaden Daniels. You're not facing Jalen Hurts, for that matter, the quarterback they faced in the first contest this season. You just didn't, and you weren't really getting to him. So it just today didn't feel right, and it didn't feel right necessarily because of the trenches. And until they fix that, I don't know what they're going to do, because if you get consistently beat in the trenches, you're in trouble. You really are. Let's see here. Scott says agreed. Michael said, and that's against the JV O-line, which they had quite a few guys missing. Here's the other thing. I know Gerard brought it up a little bit earlier today and talked about how the Packers were basically facing a banged-up JV type of team. Don't forget, the Packers are missing Dobbs. The Packers are missing Watson. The Packers were missing Jair as well today. Devontae Wyatt up front today. They were missing some starters as well. So as much as I understand where you're coming from, don't forget the Packers are missing a few guys too. Mike says, can we trade for a pass rusher? No, not really. Not unless you give up serious money, or not money, but draft choices. Not, that's it. If there was a pass rusher out there, they'd go get him. There just isn't. What you were banking on was Jeff Hafley was going to change things up. He was going to be more aggressive than Joe Barry. But as I said, my analysis basically is they don't win in the trenches up front. Okay, let's start there. Then when they do blitz and try to bring pressure, they don't disguise it very well. You can tell who's coming. Even today, Tony Romo, as much as Tony Romo has slipped as a commentator, even Tony Romo said twice today, here they come. He saw it. We all saw it. We all knew they were going, and they never got home. They didn't get home because you could tell it was already predetermined who was coming where. So you knew how to pick it up. The offensive line knew how to pick it up, right? So it's one of the reasons that I think that partially that even though they can play aggressive, when they try to do it, it doesn't work out well for them. Coming back after the break here in a couple of minutes, we're going to hear from Jordan Love. I want to listen to Jordan Love first. Aaron says, Bill, ugly first half, followed by a good second half for the most part. Normally you'd say this about a player, but I think that Matt LaFleur is the engine that makes the Packers offensive run. When he's dialed into the game plan and play calling, the offense hums along. It looks like they were sleepwalking during the first half in a McCarthy-Rodgers-esque style of offense. Not much creativity. The second half was a lot different. For the most part, Jordan Love also needs that strict structure. If he's left up to his own devices, he makes some incredibly stupid decisions. But if you can give him some structure and support, he can execute it very well. We got out of there with a win. That's all that matters. That's our buddy Aaron. Aaron, I don't think I could have said it better myself. But again, you can't say totally unprepared because they came out and went 98 yards and ended up putting points on the board on their opening drive. It wasn't pretty, but they were able to do it, right? So you got to give them some credit for that. They ended up going 98 in that contest to put points on the board. The Packers did. Or, excuse me, 96 yards. And which ultimately culminated with the Josh Jacobs 2-yard touchdown plunge when he went around the cone on the right side. However, for those, and it was noted during the game, but those that didn't know, that was his first touchdown as a Green Bay Packer. So that was relatively exciting. But right after that, Williams ends up plunging in from a yard out after, again, had the Packers defensively got a stop there, it would have been a totally different game in my opinion. But they didn't. They allowed the Rams then to go on a 13-play, 55-yard drive. 13 plays, 55 yards. In 7 minutes and 10 seconds to tie things up and to make that contest 7 apiece. 13 plays, 55 yards. So that was a big one. And then right after that, McCullough ends up picking off the stupid throw from Jordan Love, and he takes it into the end zone. And before you know it, all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, it's 13-7, and everything just changed, and you felt like the wheels were starting to come off before the Packers were finally able to put 3 points on the board before half, and then finally came out and turned it on by putting up 14 points in the second half. And here's the other thing. Let's remember this. And again, I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback on this because the Rams are so banged up, but this is a Packers defense that against a bad team has held another team under 20 points. When you think about it, they've held another team under 20 points. 2 good teams, 30+. 3 teams that were not so good, under 20 points. So it's not – that's what I said at the beginning of the program. I said, is this a glasses half full win or is this a glasses half empty win? They're 3-2. They've been dealing with injuries. They now have a problem with Romeo Doubs and a suspension. They've got some things going on that just haven't looked right. They've had to shuffle in their quarterback, obviously, and basically redesign their offense for a couple of weeks for Malik Willis, and they still were able to pick up wins. Then they play a game on the West Coast today that just looked awkward and almost dysfunctional, and they still walk away with a win. They're sitting at 3-2. Is this a glasses half full win or a glasses half empty win? Think about it. Let's do this. We're going to step away. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Jordan Love meeting with the media. You're going to hear that conversation. And then we got Matt LaFleur coming up, Mike Clemens coming up. We got a whole lot more to get to. And then also, don't forget, you can keep chiming in. For those of you over in the live stream, we'll get to a lot of your comments. And if you want to text us, 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. Packers get a win, an ugly win, but they get a win. It's Green and Gold Postgame Show live from Smoke on the Water here in Okauchee in Lake Country. Stop in and say hello. We got more coming up after this.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Swallow my pride, I would choke on the rhymes, but the lack thereof will make me on the inside. I would swallow my doubt, turn it inside out.
24-19, the final. The Packers go to 3-2 on the season. They get the win over the Rams. And the Rams now go to 1-4. They are a banged up football team without a doubt. And Jordan Love, just a dumb pass in his own end zone that ends up costing them. McCullough ends up hauling it in, runs 4 yards for the quick pick-6 score. That kind of changed a little bit of the tide of the game, at least in the first half. The second half, the Packers came out and really kind of turned things on and looked much better. Still didn't look great, but still looked much better. The quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love, at the podium. Let's take a listen.
Surprised that it was almost like a home field advantage today. I know you guys have great coverage from your fans all over, but here was amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I think Packers fans travel well everywhere we go. So, yeah, I'm never surprised about that. And it's awesome to be able to see that many fans be able to get here.
The Rams secondary that you were able to exploit them rather than be successful?
Yeah, I mean, they do some good things in the secondary, but, you know, they do some things where we're you know, we've seen this defense before. It's kind of similar to what we've ran in the past, and it's a lot of man-match stuff. And I'm confident in my receivers and those guys to be able to go out there and make plays against their DBs, and that's what we did there. Oh, definitely. I mean, every rep is so important, and especially coming off 2 weeks off, the injury. So definitely last week was important, but, you know, I mean, going through the week practice, like I said, every rep is so important to get that rhythm, that flow back leading up to Sunday.
Did that motivate you at all? Seemed like a switch flip with you.
No, I mean, it didn't motivate. It's just understanding how critical each possession is. And, it just came to a lack of execution early on and leading up to that pick. And we know what type of team we are. We know what we have to do to be able to go win games, and it's execute at a high level. And, it's just focusing on getting that completion, focusing on taking it one play at a time. And then guys were making plays out there once they got the ball in their hands. So, obviously, like you said, the pick, I mean, it was a bad decision, and it's tough. And it's all about how you respond and bounce back.
What should you, looking back, I don't know if you got a chance to rewatch it, what should you do there?
On the interception? It's one of those plays. I'm trying to get rid of the ball. I was falling and I didn't really have balance. I was trying to get it out of bounds, and it's tough. I'm falling. I don't have enough power, but honestly, just throw it at the ground. Like don't put any air on that ball. Throw it up, and even because I couldn't see where anybody was at, so just throwing it at the ground and not giving any possibility for a bad play to happen in that situation.
So if you did that, you might get
Yeah, like I said, try and get it past the line of scrimmage. You know what I mean? But just not put it in harm's way. Not trying to make a bad play worse. But looking back on the safety is definitely better than a pick six. So
Jordan, under center play action was such a big part of your success last year, and you guys hit a lot of guns today, last week as well. How much of that is where your knee is, and how much of that is just natural evolution of this offense?
Sorry, say that again.
The use of under center play action, like you guys were a lot of gun. We're used to seeing you work a little bit more under center with the run game and in the play action.
Yeah, obviously, I think last week more dealing with the knee coming back, being under center, not as much. But I think, like you said, that's a huge part of our offense, and it's all game plan and basing, so up today. But that's under center play action is a huge part of our offense, and we'll keep getting back to that and keep getting that rolling.
What was it like trying to work in some of the plays that they were running while you were out, some of the more exotic runs that maybe you guys didn't run as much that now you guys can incorporate here, that all of a sudden you've got to rep these in practice?
Yeah, that's all those plays are something that's always a part of our offense, stuff that we rep during training camp. And, we have such a big offense and a playbook that each week it's so different, and it's all, schemed up for what the defense might be doing. So, obviously, like you said, we're running the ball very well, and incorporating some new schemes and motions and different things like that. I think we've definitely done a good job of keeping that rolling and building plays off of plays and things like that. Credit to Matt and Steno, they do a good job of that. It was good.
Better than last week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, you just got to take it one play at a time. That's a mindset. The guys on the other team, they're very good as well. Everybody gets paid. So it's one of those mindsets of, a bad play might happen, a negative play might happen. It's how you respond and go forward and, build off that. But I think the O-line did a really good job. And like you said, early on, they got me on a sack, and, we did some good things building off that, and was able to, it's on me too, to be able to get the ball out, find check downs, get those positive plays. But it's just moving on to the next play.
So how do you assess the overall offense to this stage? Your expectations coming out of camp and then what you've done in the first 5 months?
Yeah, I think there's so much that we need to build on. I think we leave a lot of plays out there, and then we make some really good plays as well. So, I think it just comes down to consistent execution and trying to be as clean as we can for 4 quarters. And I don't think we've done that yet. I don't think we've played a full 4-quarter game that's clean. So there's so much stuff that we can look back on and watch film when we get back, and stuff to clean up. But, I like who we have, and I think we're just going to keep building. But there's definitely a lot of stuff to clean up.
5 interceptions in 3 games. Last year, I think he had, 8 the whole season. Any idea of what's going on there? Are you trying to do too much?
Yeah, it's one of those things you just got to be smart with the ball. You look at last week and we're down, we're trying to make plays. So you're trying to force the ball and things like that. But it just comes down to being smart with the ball, and I got to do a better job with that.
How much have you seen Josh Jacobs evolve in this offense thus far?
Yeah, Josh keeps building every week. We know what type of running back he is. And, I think every week he's getting better and better. He's getting more carries, and something that I think we can lean on a lot more going forward is the run game. But he's a great player.
You got hurt week 1. You guys came back for 2 straight wins. Last week, you're down 28-0. You guys come back on home. Here you go to pick 6. You guys come back and score a critical field goal before the half. Is it all coincidence? Is there a toughness about this team that you can build on? Kind of, how would you assess the way you guys kind of consistently keep coming?
No, there's definitely a toughness, and I think that's our mindset. It's just keep fighting. It's a 4-quarter game, and it's not going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect, but it's how do we respond to everything that happens? Adversity is going to happen in the game. Bad plays happen. Good plays happen. How do we respond? And even going back last year and this year, the start. We proved that we're going to keep fighting and just keep going and trusting the guys and just keep fighting for each other. But it's all about the brotherhood we got and just fighting for every play for everybody in the locker room.
What did you see on the shot play to Reed? I wasn't sure if that was open. The ball was in the air.
Yeah, it's one of those plays. They rolled the coverage and took the DB, and he played the deep half and cover 2. And the way he was going back, I didn't think he was that deep, but he was pretty deep. So definitely not a great decision on my part. But when you got a playmaker like Jaden Reed who's going to go up and make you right, it helps. So just a great play by Jay Reed right there.
What do you see from Kraft, his growth? He's become a crucial playmaker for this offense.
Yeah, Tug is a dog. Every time he touches the ball, he has that mindset that he's trying to score, and he's not going to go down lightly. He's going to run people over and stay up. But he does really good things when he has the ball in his hands. So I definitely keep trying to find ways to get him the ball. But he's a dog, and he had a big time performance today.
On the play on the final drive, it looked like you canned from the run to the slant to Heath. Did you feel like you had the room that got tipped at the line? Did you feel you had that, and was Matt okay with that decision for you to can that and try to hit the slant?
Yeah, it's it's a play we can run to a run, and we had a slant on the backside, and that's it's critical in situational awareness for me to be able to just hand that ball off and get the run going and eat the clock. But it was the look we like for that play on the backside. So I think if they didn't want me throwing it, they probably wouldn't have called it. So I just go about the rules of the play, and I like the look we had, and they made a good play getting their hands up. But if we get that completion, I think it'd be a big play too.
With his confidence up while he's dealing with these drops, how talented he is, how much he's done for your team. It just seems like he's going through it a little bit right now.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where, when it comes Sunday, we just got to go out there and make plays, and that's everybody. It's not just him. It's me. It's everybody, It's all about going out there and making those plays. So I know he'll bounce back from it, and, he's proven what he can do for sure. So, ball's going to keep coming his way, but, we just got to get back to the drawing board, work throughout the week, and comes down to making those plays. Yeah, thank you, guys.
There you go. That's Jordan Love talking to the media after the game. Not really much of a mention of Romeo Doubs, of missing him as to whether or not, he was an integral piece that was missing today. No talk, obviously, about Christian Watson either, but not much there. He did say that when asked, he very dismissively said, no, the knee's fine. They said, is the knee better this week? Yes, it's better. Yes. Doesn't want to talk about it. Doesn't want to get into the injury. The question still remains about not being under center his match. And he did say in that back and forth when he was talking about it, he said, yes, we're in a lot of gun. And the question was, how much is the knee affecting you? He said, yes, we're in a lot of gun right now. Play action is huge to our offense and to our success, and we need to get back to that. So, I think that's more of an obvious statement that as he gets healthier, they will get back to that. But interesting that he did allude to the fact that he has not been under gun or has not been under center as much. They've been in the gun more often. He did say that there's so much there that we need to build on. We've left a lot of plays out there. We still have not played a full 4 quarters. I'll tell you this. They play extremely well and extremely crisp at times. There's still a huge question mark regarding the defense. But if this offense was ever able to give you a full 4 quarters, it'd be the best team in the NFC. Just you look around the rest of the NFC right now and the way things are, and there's a lot of mediocrity and a lot of teams that were supposed to be above mediocrity that aren't right now. They're struggling too, whether it's because of injuries or they just haven't played extremely well or what have you. So there's the ability to really grab onto something if the Packers can put it all together and go on a little bit of a run. Like I said, Arizona coming into town next week. The Cardinals are going to roll in after getting a really good victory at Levi Stadium and beating San Francisco earlier today as well. All right, let's do this. We're broadcasting live. We're at Smoke on the Water out here in Okauchee and Lake Country on Wisconsin Avenue in Okauchee Lake. Wonderful place. I had the tenderloin sandwich today out here. We got after the motorcycle ride, and it was fantastic. Cooked to perfection. It was awesome. And some of the other food that we had, the bites, the curds, and all that kind of stuff, the French dip. I know that my buddy Justin had the mac and cheese and beans and such earlier today. That was awesome. So a lot of good stuff out here. If you ever get a chance to come by and say hello, come by and see the staff, come by and watch a game, or come in and celebrate something down here in the Below Deck Event Center. Great place to go. Great place to go. Let's do this. We're going to step out. We'll take a quick break. We got a lot more to get to. 2 more segments. Matt LaFleur next, and then Mike Clemens. Don't go anywhere. You're going to want to hear both coming up next on the Green and Gold Postgame Show.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I would swallow my pride, I would choke on the rhymes, but the lack thereof will leave me empty inside. I would swallow my doubt.
24-19, the Green Bay Packers get a win. They go to 3-2 on the season, getting ready for the Arizona Cardinals coming into Lambeau next week. A lot of different nuances to get into, but the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, Matt LaFleur, just got done speaking to the media. Here's what he had to say.
That was exhausting, but certainly proud of our guys just to continue to battle. I think, the first half didn't start out the way we wanted it to. And, you got to give the Rams a ton of credit, give Sean a ton of credit, and his coaching staff and players. I knew they would be well prepared. I knew they'd battle. Anytime you got a quarterback of Matthew Stafford's caliber, you're probably going to be in for a dogfight. And that's exactly what it was today. And I'm happy that our guys showed the resiliency that we need to have and that you have to have in order to go on the road and win. It's never easy winning this league, and I told them enjoy it, but there's plenty to work on and plenty to improve upon.
Battle back last week, almost one thing. The pick six, you come back and get a critical field goal before the half. The resiliency you talked about, is that something that you kind of instill in the team, or is that just how the roster is built? Kind of where does that come from, and how can you build it?
Well, you can talk about it till you're blue in the face, but whether or not the guys do it, no, I think it's just that's the mindset you have to have, whether it's in football or in life. There's going to be some things that happen to you and that are out of your control, and all you can do is the only thing you can control is how you respond to everything. I think, specifically with Jordan, I think that's one of his superpowers. And we've seen it since the day he got drafted is, he just doesn't blink when the pressure comes. And I think last year was pretty indicative of that, the struggles that we had, obviously, and his ability to overcome. I think, that drive, obviously, when you throw a pick six, that's never fun. And to be able to take us down there in a 2-minute drive and get some critical points when points were really tough to come by. I just think that's what he's all about. And I think that kind of, when you get a bunch of tough-minded guys, I think that kind of just manifests itself, and it gets, it's contagious. His work ethic. The guy, he loves ball. He works nonstop. He's relentless, and he's got a great mindset. The guy, that's all he does. He just shows up. He works. He gets better. I think it's been really cool to see him blossom. I think the more confidence he's gotten, the better he's done. He's just a tough-minded dude, and it's been really cool to watch a guy and see the growth and development. I think John Dunn does a great job with those guys, but I think those guys within that tight end room all push each other.
To full strength, and how close or far is he from the guy that we saw in the second half of last season?
Well, I think he's getting better. I think he's getting. He looked like he was moving around pretty well today. And I think, it's never about one player. It's never about one person in this game. It takes all 11, and you need everybody around you to do their job so you can do your job at the highest possible level. So, I think there's some things that we can clean up, certainly, him specifically, but I was proud of just how he battles, man. He's the leader of the offense, and, I love his approach to the game and everything he's about.
We asked Jordan Love about the receptions. This was something you talked about early last season, empowering Jordan to be a playmaker while also making sure he's being as smart as he can be with the football. How do you walk that line with him? Because You don't want to take away that playmaking attribute.
Yeah, that's a quarterback's number one job. He understands that and he's conscious of it. And I think sometimes, just like a great example was that throw that he made to Jaden Reed, where we're not necessarily encouraging that one, but he also has a lot of faith and confidence in the guys around him. And, I think just to speak of that confidence, I mean, that last play call where we tried to run a double move on the outside to Wicks, and, he just has the belief that his guys are going to go make the play for him.
Takeaways. And that's about as good a stat as you want pretty much at the end of the year. How does that fit into the overall scheme of things and praising the D? Yeah,
that's everything. I mean, the ball is everything. And we talk about it each and every week. And then every week there's great examples around the league. Everybody, if you win the ball, you got a great chance at winning the game. And unfortunately, week one, we won the ball and still didn't win the game, but it does give you a much better chance to come out on top.
Going after the football.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it, Rob. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. I mean, the guy just has a knack for the football, and he's got great ball skills. He's very instinctive and smart to allow him to anticipate, to make plays, and then he generally makes the play. And I know, I'm sure there was one play in the second half that he'd like to have back because he might have had another one right there. But certainly, I think he's been obviously a very key pickup, for us in free agency. Yeah, that was kind of the plan going in to put Key outside and put Bull down at the nickel position, which opened up the door for Evan Williams, and that's a luxury. I mean, we have confidence in all those guys, but again, Evan is another guy that's very smart. He's instinctive, and he has a knack for the football. And he made a couple critical plays today, where on some critical downs, be it third or fourth down, where he was able to defend some passes. And I think Evan is going to continue to get better and better and better. And right now we have a good problem in terms of we've got a lot of people that we feel like can go play in the secondary for us. So I think the challenge moving forward is when we get everybody back and we're healthy is how do you get all these guys involved? And I think the same with, that's why we're rotating so many guys up front on our D line, and same within the receiver room.
Be above water in 3-2, but overall, after 5 weeks, what do you want to see get better in the next 5 weeks?
Yeah, you either get better or you get worse. You're never staying the same. And every week is a new challenge. And I know that's a lot of coach speak, but I believe in that. And, but I think it all starts with your preparation and how you approach it, and your willingness to put the work in to strive to get better in practice. And that gives you the confidence to go out there and make plays in the game. There's certainly a lot of areas where we have to get better. Again, penalties are a consistent problem. Certainly don't have the answer for that right now. It's extremely frustrating, and it's been an Achilles heel for us. And it's a big reason why, we haven't won more, in my opinion. So that's something that we have to get corrected, and we better do it quick, because I want to say this is probably the most penalized team that we've had in my 6 years in Green Bay. It's crazy to think that right now, but that is an area that we have to address, have to get better in. It's hard to get into a flow and show any consistency. It's like we have opportunities to make some plays, and then we get a false start or whatever it may be. There were a couple critical plays on the defensive side, and it's just something that we have to focus on and really hone in and try to get corrected.
There you go. Let's do this. We're going to step out. We got Mike Clemens on hold. We're going to talk with Mike when we come back. Don't go anywhere. That was Matt LaFleur talking to the media after the game. The Packers get a win 24-19. We'll come back, wrap things up, and talk to Mike Clemens, get some of his perspective, some comments out of the locker room as well. Don't go anywhere. More of the Green and Gold Postgame Show coming up right after this.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
(24-19), the final. The Green Bay Packers get a win. They now get a chance to come back home and hopefully clean some more up, we'll say, to use Matt LaFleur's description that, they left a lot of plays out there on the field again, and some of the penalties and some of the costly penalties and some of the mistakes that they made. They got to clean those up. And to talk more about it, we bring him in now. Good to talk to our guy, Mike Clemens, joining us on the hotline. Michael, how you doing, pal?
Pretty good. Bill, a lot of guys were asking me in this summer and then during that brief holdout before they signed Jordan Love to be the highest paid quarterback, like, what do you think they're going to get from Love? And I said, listen, the Jordan Love you saw after a 4-game losing streak last year, when he got to November, December, he didn't care. He just he got into the zone. And the guy that took you into the playoffs and rolled over the Cowboys was in the zone. And so you got to figure that in September, you got to dial that back a little bit. And, defenses are going to be better prepared for him. And then that all gets scrambled with the knee injury at the end of the Eagles game. Today he said the knee still felt okay, but he comes up with, kind of a boneheaded play when he's scrambling there in the back of the end zone. He's under pressure, and he's just trying to flip the ball. He ends up throwing his first pick 6 in his career in the Rams end zone to their corner, Jalen McCullough, and he talked about that play after the game.
It's one of those plays. I'm trying to get rid of the ball, and I was falling, and I didn't really have balance. And I was trying to get it out of bounds, and it's tough. I'm falling. I don't have enough power, but honestly, just throw it at the ground. Like don't put any air on that ball. Throw it up, and even because I couldn't see where anybody was at, so just throwing it at the ground and not giving any possibility for a bad play to happen in that situation.
So if you did that, you might get on.
Yeah, like I said, try and get it past the line of scrimmage, you know what I mean? But just, not put it in harm's way, you know what I mean? Not trying to make a bad play worse, but, looking back on the safety is definitely better than a pick six. So,
Mike, one of the things that I did notice, and we'll get back to Jordan Love in a second, but they really didn't mention Romeo Doubs at all in that situation. And I know that they're not going to speak too much in a post-game press conference about it, but the way I look at it is Doubs has two choices. You either come back and you're incredibly apologetic for a very stupid move, or you double down, and then you've created a real problem both for yourself and for the team. But nothing mentioned in the post-game pressers, and really nothing asked in the post-game pressers about it.
No, we've got LaFleur coming up here in just a second. But we did talk to Jordan Love about, hey, there was a lot of drops. And, maybe Dobbs saw that playbook on Wednesday, said, what's all these plays to Dontavian Wicks, who, by the way, only caught 2 of the 7 passes targeted to him today. And I thought that Jordan, though, there's some other balls that he threw. Like, what is he doing? There could have been a couple more picks there for the Rams today.
Right.
I thought he played a little loose. He's now thrown 5 interceptions already this year. Where's this offense right now between the run and pass balance?
Yeah, I think there's so much that we need to build on. I think we leave a lot of plays out there, and then we make some really good plays as well. So, I think it just comes down to consistent execution and trying to be as clean as we can for 4 quarters. And I don't think we've done that yet. I don't think we've played a full 4-quarter game that's clean. So there's so much stuff that we can look back on and watch film when we get back and stuff to clean up. But, I like who we have, and I think we're just going to keep building. But there's definitely a lot of stuff to clean up.
5 interceptions in 3 games last year. I think he had, 8 for the whole season. Any idea of what's going on there? Are you trying to do too much?
Yeah, it's one of those things you just got to be smart with the ball. You look at last week and we're down, we're trying to make plays. So you're trying to force the ball and things like that. But it just comes down to being smart with the ball, and I got to do a better job with that.
Mike, and he does. I've seen this now 5 times where he's just thrown it up. And we talked about it last year, the end of the season, and I thought, you know what? You throw it up just to throw it up, especially on 1st and 10 against San Francisco. You pretty much end your team's chances and hopes of moving on in the postseason. That'll never happen again. And now we've seen it happen not once, but 2 times so far, or 3 times actually so far this season. He's got to be smarter with the football.
So the one to Jaden Reed for 67 yards in double coverage.
Right.
And somehow Reed pulls that
was
ball
amazing.
in. It's beautiful. But, LaFleur was asked after the game, does Jordan Love need to put the brakes on a little bit to settle down and protect the football more?
Yeah, that's a quarterback's number 1 job. He understands that, and he's conscious of it. And I think sometimes, just like a great example was that throw that he made to Jaden Reed, where we're not necessarily encouraging that one, but he also has a lot of faith and confidence in the guys around him. I think just to speak of that confidence, that last play call where we tried to run a double move on the outside to Wicks, and he just has the belief that his guys are going to go make the play for him.
Again, I go back to the fact that they didn't have Christian Watson, didn't have Romeo Doubs. I don't know how much that hurt him. Obviously, Luke Musgrave. Tucker Kraft, though, was a beast. He played extremely well again today. So maybe there was some issues with some of the people that he was targeting, especially not having a lot of faith in Dontavian Wicks at this point.
Right. And then the Romeo Doubs situation. Doubs comes in on Wednesday, and then he doesn't show up on Thursday. And, the Packers send people to his house like, is he okay? What's going on? And Bill Huber from Sports Illustrated then reported yesterday morning, because we were told it's a personal matter. And when you get that from players in the NFL, it's usually maybe a death in the family, maybe a birth or something, that kind of a thing. But not like, you know what? I'm not coming in. I don't feel like it. I'm ticked off. And that's what we know of the situation so far. And, I was stunned by this because Doubs is from LA and a proud guy. And maybe he thought he would have a bigger role with Watson out this week. We'll find out. But Matt LaFleur was asked, where does this situation by suspending Romeo Doubs for a week, where does it stand right now with him?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our conversation tomorrow. So I fully anticipate him coming back, and I'm hopeful that he'll come back and get ready to work. And, distractions happen in the National Football League. Distractions happen in life. And you got to do your best to just focus on the task at hand. And I thought our guys did a pretty good job of that.
He said he hopes he comes back, and he hopes, comes back with the, right mindset. What happens if he doesn't? What if he just says, look, I'm done, I'm out? He's a third-year guy. It's not like he can go somewhere. It's not like the transfer portal. You know what I mean?
I know. I'll be surprised by that, just by what I know of the kid. I really would be surprised by that. But I don't know. Maybe he thinks that it's too crowded, and he's already in his third year. He wants those stats if he's going to get re-signed. Then on the other side of the football, it was Sean McVay out there, missing Cup, missing Nakua as his wide receivers, and missing two of the left side of his offensive line is out on IR. So Sean McVay going in there today at home, and Matthew Stafford got him back in that game, man. But instead, they've lost 3 of their 4 losses have been by TD or less, like today's game. They now are 1-4 heading into their bye week, and this was Sean McVay a couple of minutes ago.
The reality is you can tend to think you're a lot further away than you are. Opportunity to say, all right, we've got some adversity. How do we handle that? All right, here's that storm that we talked about, and want to be proud of the way that we handle it. Want to make sure that our guys get away, and then we do a good job as coaches being able to reflect, evaluate, and say, all right, with these 5 games, are we getting guys back? Are we not? What does it look like to try to avoid some of the different things that we haven't done well enough, and try to, continue to replicate some things that have been some positives. But, this one, you keep it real. This was tough because we had a lot of work into this week. There was plenty of opportunities that I thought we had to be able to change the outcome, and we came up short, and we all have our hand in it.
Matthew Stafford, like you said, Mike, did everything he could to try to bring him back. And, they had the fumble, and, Xavier McKinney, we haven't mentioned him, but I said he's an old Arby's commercial. He's 5 for 5 so far when it comes to picks in games. And then just to add a little bit of mustard to it today, he ended up getting the fumble recovery as well. But, if it wasn't for Xavier McKinney and those turnovers for that defense all throughout the season, this might be a different record for this team.
And this Packers defense, they do better the pass rush when they've got a bigger lead like they did against the Titans. And, today they did come up with, takeaways like the McKinney interception, the recovered fumble after Enagbari punched one out. They had at least 3 takeaways. They lead the league in takeaways. And so today, after the game, Stafford was asked about, you knew about number 29 out there, Xavier McKinney. And you nearly came back to win this one. And he talked about that after the loss today.
29 just did a nice job overlapping. It's kind of my main option on that play, and looked like he just read it pretty well, did a nice job, and obviously a little too much on it. So, they come down to that at the end of the game. There's a bunch of plays within the game that could, make them, better situations for ourselves. And then when we have the opportunities late in games, try to find ways to win. I thought it was a great fight today. I thought our defense did a great job stepping up in the second half, made some plays, and to get us chances to get the ball back late in the game. We just didn't do quite enough with it.
Mike, so again, tomorrow going to be an interesting day. They didn't play a full 4 quarters. They didn't play a perfect game. It looked a little sloppy. The defense got pushed around. They're against the run. They're almost non-existent. You've got Romeo Dobbs issues. So what does tomorrow look like in your opinion?
Well, for me, Bill, from this game, the biggest head scratcher for me is what they're doing with the corners. Because last week, Jeff Hafley started Corey Ballantyne. He got burned by the Vikings early in the game, so then he threw in Keyshawn Nixon. And what happened to Eric Stokes today?
Right.
Like Carrington Valentine, who was still injured last week, he started today. Jair out today, but they took Valentine off. I think after he got 1 pass interference call. But Eric Stokes was getting drilled in that 4th quarter. They were going to his side.
Yeah.
And he fell down twice in one of those scoring drives by the Rams. So that's kind of a concern. What's going on with Eric Stokes? How soon can they get Jair back? And who's really going to be the corners for this team right now? That's something that they're going to have to fix in tomorrow's film room for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Mike, we'll get you back on the program tomorrow, and we'll break down even more. But appreciate it as always, pal. And, hey, they got to win, so we'll all reconvene again next week at Lambeau Field, okay?
Talk to you then, Bill. Thank you, pal.
Thanks, buddy. Mike Clemens brought to you by the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, comfortable, just a mile from Lambeau Field. Perfect for the family stay as well. And the Bay Family Restaurant, featuring home-style cooking 7 days a week. The Bay Motel on South Military Avenue in Green Bay. Call them 920-494-3441 or go to baymotelgreenbay.com. Before we get out of here, one more time, before a crowd of 72,842 paid on hand to see it, it was the Green Bay Packers 24 and the LA Rams 19. Packers get a win. Now they come back home. We'll talk about it all tomorrow on the program, 10 a.m. Central Time. Make sure you're right back here. We certainly appreciate you watching, listening, paying attention to